All right, guys, welcome back to the class. We are in day 4, and we have covered few things in last few days. And today we will talk a little bit about Selenium WebDriver. What is Selenium WebDriver? And we have already installed Selenium WebDriver. Today we will try to talk about a particular object-oriented programming concept, and it is called as inheritance. With the help of inheritance, we will try to understand if we can create a framework or not. Okay, just by using that inheritance concept. All right, and then we will try to write some basic test cases if time permits. Good. So what is Selenium? Selenium is a web browser automation tool. I told you that. It works on a particular strategy. I mean, there are few versions of Selenium. I'm really talking about two main versions of Selenium, and those are Selenium 3 and Selenium 4. Okay. So Selenium 3 is outdated right now. We have Selenium 4 only. You can still use Selenium 3 if you want to, and whatever test cases you have written with Selenium 3, those are still going to work with Selenium 4. There is no problem in that. So Selenium 4 is backward compatible. So let me talk about the architecture of Selenium 3, because this is the first thing the interviewer will ask you to understand your knowledge in Selenium. All right. So the first thing they are trying to understand is, we have to understand is that on the very extreme left, we have test cases, okay? Test cases are written in simple Java. You have seen me doing this. We are creating an object of Chrome driver. We did that yesterday. And then we said we use a driver object here, and we ran one single method called .get. This is a simple Java syntax in order to trigger Chrome browser. That's it. Okay. Now, this is the test block I'm talking about. In the middle layer, there is a web driver. So web driver over here is nothing but the jar file. The jar file that we have added sometime back, like yesterday, right? We added this jar file. This jar file is coming from selenium.dev, and we just added that. Now, what happens is, as soon as we are writing this line, Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver immediately something is happening. What is happening? WebDriver starts with, it will start its own server. It will start its own server, and that server is a REST API server. Okay? A REST API server is basically there to listen for some kind of request, and it will process that request and give you back some kind of a response. That is basically REST API does. Okay? It processes some request and it will give you back some response. All right? For example, when I say driver.get, there is an equivalent request for this driver.get method, which is transferred to the jar file over here, to the REST API server over here. And then that action is getting performed in the browser level. That is exactly what is happening. Okay. Now, in between, there is a layer called as JSON wire protocol. What is JSON wire protocol? So whatever command you are trying to trigger, whether it is driver.get or whether it is driver.findElement.click, whatever it is, whatever method or whatever action you're trying to perform. Corresponding to this particular action, there is going to be a JSON response or request. JSON payload, I would say. JSON payload will be sent. What is JSON payload? Let me, will be sent to the server. Okay. So what is JSON payload? JSON payload is, JSON is basically nothing but JavaScript object notation. That is basically your JSON means. So what exactly is JSON? JSON is the most preferred way to communicate data from one end to the other end. In simple terms, this is what JSON is. JSON looks like this. So you go to Google and just say JSON, and then you just say images, okay? And if you do that, you will see, for example, this image. Okay, do you see that this is the JSON formatted data? You see there is a track ID and then there is a track ID value, the type and then coupe and then speed and then there's a value. So a key value pair, and then JSON can be really created in a structured format. For example, you can see that there is a subsections. For example, this section is just for geometry. You see that? This is a geometry section. Under geometry section, there is a spatial reference. And this is another section over here. Okay. And then this entire guy is one section, right? And then again, another section starts. So it is a payload, or it is a JSON structure in which this API or this particular JSON data is being transferred from one end to the other end. Now, every application or every such request can have different payloads, completely different structure. Okay. In a nutshell, this is what I want to inform you right now. There is many more to understand from JSON perspective, which is there for the full course discussion. So anyways, in this JSON formatted structure, the instructions are being passed from test to the WebDriver or the REST API server that is started. Okay? It is started, which is why it is called as JSON wire protocol. This REST API server, as soon as it gets that encoded instruction, it will then decode it, correct? It will then decode it. After decoding it, it will understand, okay, I have to perform an action in a Chrome browser. I have to go to this particular application. I have to find this particular element in the web page, and then I have to click on a particular element. That's the instruction which the WebDriver REST API server will decode, and then that action will perform in the browser. Once it is done, it will send a response back to the REST API server saying, hey, this action has been performed properly. And then that response sent back to the test again. Once that particular request and response is sent, then the next step will be executed again. There are multiple steps you will be executing, right? So this is one of them, right? First step is done, it gets a response, and then it will start the next step. If that particular response from the previous step is a failure, it will just stop there. Okay? This is what used to happen with Selenium 3 version. Using JSON wire protocol, there was a encoding and decoding that was happening. Okay? Now, things are a little different. nothing really is going to be different from you as a user. You will still be able to access the same methods and everything is same. It's just that how the architecture has changed is what is different. So if you go to the next slide, you will see that here there is no encoding and decoding. We are not really sending any JSON wire protocol thing. We are sending the information in terms of W3C standard. So all the browsers, all the entities that we work in the web, they all follow W3C standard. What is W3C standard? W3C means World Web Consortium, right? So W3C, right? If you just search for that, World Wide Web Consortium, right? So it is basically some kind of a standard that is being followed by all the entities in online space, right? So to make that a standard, Selenium guys are actually implementing the same strategy here, and they are simply sending the request and response like you would do to a REST API server, simple, using HTTP protocol, okay? And then that information is being sent to the browser, and browser is able to perform the action. That is the difference between Selenium 4 and Selenium 3, ideally, okay? Nothing that is going to change in terms of your implementation or your execution. Good. Let's move on. So we have created this jar file. We have shown you how to get the jar file and add that in the Selenium WebDrive. Okay, good stuff. Now the next thing that I want to really talk about is, just give me 1 minute. I will talk about a concept in Java, and it's called inheritance. All right. Let me see if I have added that here. No, I have not. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Let me try to find out that particular PPT. Okay, if I don't find the PPT, I will just straight away start it from, okay, leave it. Let's not waste the time. Okay, let's try to understand one particular concept that I want to talk about today. Okay, and that particular concept is called as inheritance. I'm going to create a new project today, and that project is going to be day 4. Okay, good. And I will add 2 of my libraries here as well. So properties, and the libraries that we're going to add here is the Selenium WebDriver Manager, and the other one is the Selenium WebDriver Server. Correct? These 2 things are gone. I'm going to copy a few things. Okay, let's not copy. So we will try to understand about inheritance. Inheritance. It is a concept in object-oriented programming. Okay. What does inheritance says? Inheritance says that if I have a class and the class name is car, and the class is having attributes as brand, model, okay, and the car can start and stop, right? These are the properties of the car. If that is what a card template looks like from whatever we have discussed yesterday. This should be simple for you to really understand now. These are methods. That's why I'm adding brackets. Okay. So if this is the card template, you understand something, that if I'm creating any number of objects from here, okay, I say car Mercedes equals to new car. Okay. I can say car Audi equals to new car. Whatever or how many ever objects I create from this card template, it will still, all these guys, all these objects will still have access to the same attributes and same properties. Can you please confirm that you understand this much? Yes or no? Okay. I need more thumbs up, please. Okay. All right. Good stuff. So that's what we have understood from yesterday's discussion. Perfectly fine. Now think about a scenario. This is my card template. Perfectly fine. No problem at all. I can create multiple objects out of it. No problem at all. However, think about it. If I want to provide a specific property to a car class, to Mercedes class. For example, Mercedes can definitely start and Mercedes can definitely stop. And Audi can also do the exact same thing, no problem at all. However, when Mercedes is getting started, Mercedes wants to start with maybe a fingerprint scanner. So you go in front of the car and then you just get inside the car and there is a scanner there, okay? And you scan your fingerprint and it starts the car, a security feature in the Mercedes, okay? Understand this. I want this property to be available only in Mercedes, not in Audi, right? So think about it. If I add that property right there over here, okay? Start with FP, fingerprint. If I say this property over here, start with FP, this particular property, I'm adding it in the card template. If I do that, what will be the problem? Even Audi will get that property. I don't want that Audi to get that property. I want only Mercedes to have that property. Is it possible? It is possible. That is where it comes as inheritance. It is saying whatever you can bring on from your parent, please bring it. Let me actually change the color. Whatever you want to bring from your parent, please bring it. And for rest, implement your own property. How can we do that? We cannot implement a property for a particular object. An object cannot implement a property because an object is built from a template. So object cannot build a property. And who can? A class can build a property. So for car Audi, it's not possible to take part in the car. No. Okay. So for car Audi, it is not possible to take part of the class template. I didn't get the exact question. Guispe, can you explain me? What do you want to say?
Hello, first of all. So if you start with fingerprints that it's a property of car Mercedes,
Yeah.
the car Audi doesn't work with that class template. Because
Exactly.
You should take all the template and not a part of it.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly. So what do we do then? What we should do is, this is what we should do. we should create another template, as Gispe is saying. What should we do is, we should go ahead and create another template, and that template is going to be, just a minute, and the template is going to be for Mercedes. Okay, Mercedes. Okay, this template is for Mercedes. As a part of this template Mercedes, I am not bothered to provide any information on brand or model, or even start and stop. No, I'm not bothered. I'm only bothered to add a property saying start with FP, and that's it. Think about it. Does it not make sense? It makes sense, right? And what I will do is, I will make this class as a child class, and I will say, hey, inherit everything else from your parent. So my parent is this guy. That's the inheritance. There is many more things to it, like how does it work with constructors and all. It is a big discussion, right? But I'm telling you, this is what inheritance is. Correct? Now, if you do that, then there will be no implication on Audi. Audi will still be accessing all the properties and attributes of car, and Mercedes will have everything here. Is that making sense to everybody? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. Adam, are you understanding this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
So that's the case then, right? So how do we implement? This is very simple, right? As I have quickly drawn that picture. So let me just then try to implement it, right? So I'll just do a new package here. I'll name this as test cars. Test cars, okay. And under this, I go and say new class here, and I go for a car, and I go and say public public string brand, right? Public. Okay, actually, I know what, I'll copy things from the previous class. It'll be easier. Car. I just copy this whole piece, all right, to this guy. Okay, I don't need these two things, so I remove them. I don't. Okay, accelerator card is fine. I just want to say did here. Rest of it I'll remove it. Okay. Random model. I'll remove this section. I'll remove this section. I'm removing this section because engine and seat is not there. So I removed all of them. Okay. That's my simple car, right? And I can create a Mercedes now. Class Mercedes, right? And this guy will now have simply one particular property that is going to be start with fingerprint, correct? But I have not yet set any relation between the child class, the child class and the parent class, right? I have not yet, where is my, hold on. Okay, so I have not yet set any relation between Mercedes class and car class. There has to be a parent and a child relationship, right? How can we establish that? We can do it just like extends car, right? As soon as I do that, it basically creates a parent-child relationship. Now, all I do here is public void start with fingerprint scanner. Correct? Simple as that. And I'm going to copy this thing right here, starting with FP, and that's it. Think about it. That's all I did. How do I test my entire thing is working or not? We need a controller. You remember? We need to have a main method from where we can start everything, correct? These two are my just like players. So I have to the main controller is here, using which I can play the game, and these are my players, right? So new class test or card controller, any name you can give, no problem at all. Main method here, and we go and say something like this. We say Mercedes. See this. I'm not creating an object of car now because I don't need it. I need to access the special property of Mercedes. So I'll say Mercedes Merc equals new Mercedes, right? Good. And then what do I say? I say Merc dot brand name equals to Mercedes. Obviously, I have to say this, otherwise it will not be correct. And model name. Model name is E50. And then we have Merc dot start car. Okay. I want to start with fingerprint scanner. So you see, I'm able to access this method, right? And then I want to do a stop. I do have access to the ordinary start card as well, but that is not what we want to use. We want to use the fingerprint scanner. Okay, this guy is coming from the card class, correct? And you can very easily see that. You see in this small box, it is showing the start card is coming from the card class, and fingerprint scanner is coming from the Mercedes class. Do you see that? It's very easily telling you all the information. Correct? So that is that. And I go and say stop car, right? And then I can, as usual, do my car Audi stuff. Equals new Audi, new car. And then we can say Audi dot brand name. Audi dot model equals A3, and I will not have access to the start with fingerprint, obviously. So start car and Audi with stop car. See that? Simple. And I go and I run this. Run as Java application. This is exactly what we expected, right? This should be stopping, right? Misspelled it. This is accelerate. And stop. Correct? Run this again. Perfect. Correct? Is this understandable? The concept of inheritance. Why do I need it? How to achieve that? Is it understandable? Yes, no?
Yeah, that's helpful. So thanks. I just have one question. Do you know, I know it's good practice to type out your own code, but I was just curious if you had a copy of, like, we'll say some example files, like working files that we could import as well.
Yeah, so all this four guys, I'm going to zip it and I'll give it to you at the end of the training. And I can I'll show you how to import this project into your system, and you can take a look at it from there. Make sense? Is that okay?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
No problem. Sure. Good. So that is that with the inheritance. All right. I want to understand if everybody understood that. Yes or no? Okay. Okay. Perfect. Now I'm going to create a very, very, very simple automation framework. This framework is the dumbest framework that you can ever think of. Okay. But I'm just trying to get you there to understand that what a framework really means. Correct? And I want to really introduce you to inheritance from test automation perspective. Okay, good. So let me then get started with that. Okay, I'm going to, the plan is this, right? Let me first discuss the plan and then we will implement that. So we are trying to create a framework in test automation, for test automation, a test framework. Test framework basically means a set of rules to follow in order to keep your code healthy and maintainable. Okay. Now this maintainable and healthy, it can be subjective for different people, right? For you, because you're just getting started new, you can look at this framework that I'm going to build thinking that, wow, it is amazing. It is so simply, we can create it and we can maintain things and we can really get it going. Okay. But the actual framework that you should be really using or you should be actually working on is going to be totally different than what I'm actually going to show you. But it is a starting point for you to understand that what a rule or what a framework really means ideally. So as a part of this framework, the plan is to create a driver, okay? A test driver. So what is a test driver? Test driver is a component which will let you execute multiple test cases. Okay, you can control which test case to be executed and which to be omitted, right? You can control that. That's the test driver. One single file which can let you control what to execute, what not to execute. Okay, good. Then we will have a test class. What is a test class? Or I'll say test repository. Let's name it as test repository. Test repo. Okay. As a part of this test repo, we are going to house or we are going to hold multiple test cases. Test case 1, test case 2, test case 3, test case 4. Test case 1, 2, 3, 4. These are nothing but simple Java methods. Okay. You have to understand that if this is a test case, in automation perspective, if this is a test case, then it needs one primary component. Absolutely, yes. Without that, you cannot do anything. And that is what? A web driver object. I mean, a Chrome driver object, a Selenium Chrome driver object. You remember, without this driver, think about it, without this driver that I showed you yesterday, without this driver, you are not going to even launch the application. So you need to have access to this driver. Absolutely, yes. Without that, you cannot do anything. So think about it that from this diagram perspective, you absolutely need to provide, somehow you have to provide the access to the driver, the web driver or the Chrome driver to each and every test case so that those tests can run. Okay. How can we generate a web driver? We don't want to generate a web driver for each and every test case. We probably want to generate the web driver once, and then we will share it on all the test cases, something like that. So we can create another file called driver factory. Okay, driver factory. As a part of this driver factory, I want to trigger, or I want to get my drivers into this, into my test cases. Okay, the job of this driver factory will be to generate a Chrome driver or a web driver object. Okay, and then this will be passed, this driver will be passed to the respective test case, each and every test case. So let's see if we can create something like this. Okay, how about that? So, okay, can you tell me if this plan looks okay to you? So basically, when I'm saying rule, so rule is this. The rule is that you need to have a test driver from where you can, start and stop your test case. I mean, choose which test case to execute or not. Test repository where you need to keep multiple test cases. That is the rule. Okay, and you have to also make sure that the test repository always extends to the driver factory. That's the rule. The framework that I'm talking about right now is having this simple rule. Okay, so let's try to create this 3 components at the minimal level, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new package, and I'll say test framework, right? As a part of this, I'm going to create 3 components. Number 1 is new class. Let's name it as test driver. And this class is going to have a main method. I will tell you why it is. I have another class, and this class I will name it as, for example, I want to have one test class to hold all test cases for Amazon, another test class to hold all test cases for maybe, I don't know, maybe Hostel World. Hostel World is another application. Okay, so let's say Amazon tests. Okay, and I will have another method class here, new class, and let's name this class as Hostel World test. Hostel World.
So you can divide those out however you want. You could have one class for several test cases and
correct. Yeah, exactly. That is what its framework means. You're creating maintainable structure. You cannot dump everything to one thing, one particular file. You will have a huge problem in terms of maintaining. I'm talking about test cases like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 test cases. It's not possible that you can dump them in one file. You have to make things organized. So as a part of your framework, the first thing you have to understand is how to make a code or a project organized, right? So you see right now I'm trying to show you how can we really organize things. So I'm creating a test driver. I'm creating 2 different classes so that they can hold 2 different sets of test cases. And then finally, I'm going to create another file. It's going to be a driver factory. Okay. The job of this driver factory is to do just one thing, to get me access to the web driver. And that's pretty much about it. Okay, good stuff. Driver factory.
And if you had 10 test cases on one class, could you execute 5 of those?
Yeah, you can.
Mis5 as well.
Yeah, you can, absolutely. Okay. So as a part of this web driver factory, the job is to generate a web driver. Simple as that. I'm going to create a method here. Public void generate gen driver. Just say gen driver. And this method will accept an argument or a parameter, string browser name, something like that. Okay. I'm not going to, I showed you earlier how to generate a Chrome driver, but today I'm going to show you how to generate multiple drivers. Okay. And to understand that, we really have to understand a concept called as interface. But I cannot really teach you that here. It needs a lot of explanation about what is abstraction. Okay, which is not possible for me to really cover it in this short time. So I will skip that. You have to really see how am I doing it. Okay. I'm going to create a web driver object. So you see, I'm going to create a web driver object, something like this. Private web driver. Okay, I'm not creating a Chrome driver object, I'm creating a web driver object. For now, you can think that web driver is the parent class of Chrome driver. For now, you can think like that, okay? It is to some extent true, but not completely. So web driver, private web driver, okay? And then I'm going to say some statement here. I'm saying if browser name dot equals Chrome, okay, then I want to generate a Chrome driver, something like that, okay? Else I'm just showing you just two of them, Chrome and Firefox. The rest of it you can just add it on your own. Okay. So that is that, and I'll say Firefox. If it is Firefox or if it is Chrome, correct? And as a part of this Chrome, I can write the next line as WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver dot setup. If you remember, we did that yesterday. And then you would say driver. You see this driver is equals to new Chrome driver. Probably this is blowing your mind that how is that possible? How am I writing WebDriver equals to new Chrome driver? So far, we were all doing like Chrome driver equals new Chrome driver. You see, WebDriver is a separate entity, Chrome driver is a separate entity. How is that possible, even possible? Okay, it is possible because there's a concept in Java called runtime polymorphism. Okay, right? Runtime polymorphism. You go to any other programming language, they will always have similar kind of structure there. Okay, so runtime polymorphism is the strategy, or is a concept using which you can write something like this. Anyways, that is not for discussion right now, but anyways. So, okay, let me keep this, sorry, let me keep this one here, okay? And then I will exactly do the same thing with WebDriver manager dot Firefox dot setup, correct? And the same thing again, driver equals new Firefox driver. Good. I will actually do something. I will actually make this guy public, not private. Okay. And then I'm going to have a method here, another method here called public void quit. Quit means that you can even stop the web driver, right? You can just say if this driver is not null, that is if the driver is actually active, then please kill it dot quit, something like that. So I created this simple class here, generate driver and quit. These are the two properties of the simple class. Good. Next.
And if you wanted to test on several different browsers like Chrome, would you have to do that on a separate class, or could you put them all into the one there?
No, you can put them all. I have added a Chrome here.
You have them in there, yeah.
Firefox. You can add Edge and many other. Just if-else statements.
Oh,
right?
Sure. Thanks.
Okay, good. So once that is done, what do I do now? The next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure my main test classes will have access to this driver. How can we do that? Very simple. I can say, okay, let me do one thing. Let me make this as static. Okay, what is static? It's a long discussion. Again, I'm not talking about it right now. So I made this as static. All right, that's fine. Now what I'll do is I will say something like this. Hostel world. I will say extends what? Driver factory. Just like that. Amazon extends driver factory. Okay, good stuff. Now I'm going to create some dummy test here. Really, not really important. Just a simple dummy test. Let's give the name of the test as TC001, something like that. And I'm going to create another 2 copy of this, like that. Right? Let's change the names to 2 and to 3. Good stuff. Now what can I do? I can, as I have access to the driver factory, I do have access to the driver now. Driver.get. Do you see that? That's the rule. That's the framework rule I just have created in front of you. That you just have to create, you have to, as a test class, all you do is extend to the driver factory and the driver is ready for you. So I'm going to say, okay, HTTPS amazon.co.uk. I'm not really writing any test logic here. Just going to go to 3 different places. Amazon.in is for India, and I think the other one is for DE, is it? I don't know. Amazon.co.de. No, just DE, is it? For Germany? Yeah, just DE, correct? So I go and say DE, correct? So I'm just opening up these 3 things. Like once you have the access to the driver, pretty much you can do anything. All the SKS can run on its own. Hostel world, let's go there. Exact same thing. I'll actually copy the whole piece and put it here. I'll just change the URLs, okay? Hostel world.com, okay? And then in hostel world, there is another site. There is another sub page that we can look at. I think that is hostel world hostels. Yeah, hostels. And then you go hostel world hostels, and you go hostel world hotels, something like that. Correct? I just created a very basic test framework. This is the simplest and stupidest framework that you can think of. But it is a start for you to understand that what exactly a framework means. Now let's go to the test driver from where we can control our entire test suite. Okay. As a part of the test driver, we need to make sure that we can create an object of a driver, a web driver. Okay. Firstly, we have to instantiate the web driver, like the Chrome driver or Firefox driver, because you see in the driver factory, there is this method called gen driver. Like somebody has to call it, right? Somebody has to call it and give the browser name so that the driver can be instantiated. Somebody has to do that. Who will do it? The test driver class will do that. How can you do that? So you can just say driver factory df equals new driver factory. Just like that. And then you say df dot generate driver, just like that. You see, I'm not doing anything. Generate driver, and that is say Chrome, just like that. Okay, done with that. Now you want to execute test case for Amazon or for Hostel World, right? Good stuff. You have to access them, right? You have to say Amazon, Amazon tests AMZ equals new Amazon tests, correct? And all you do is control or call the test. So AMZ dot TC001, AMZ dot TC002, AMZ dot TC003. Okay, and then similarly, exactly the same thing we'll do for Hostel World. Hostel World, we'll say HW equals new Hostel World, right? And that is H. I have to just import this guy here. Okay, Hostel World test, my man. Tests, right? And then you go HW dot TC001, HW dot TC002, and HW dot TC003. Right? Simple thing, nothing complicated so far. Let's go and run them together. All right. Run as Java application. Let's see what happens. Chrome driver starts, goes to amazon.co.uk, amazon.in, and .de. Simple. Hostel World, hostels, hotels. You can consider this very much as a framework. Now, will it work for applications like large-scale application 3,000 test cases? Absolutely never, ever possible. Why is that? This is the reason why I wanted you guys to really come for a free boot camp, for you to understand that what exactly we require to work on. Okay, so if you actually Google me, Google my site, I have a diagram there, okay, which I want to really show it to you, like so. Here, this is the diagram I want to show you. Okay. So ideally, we need these different components all together to work as a framework, ideally. Okay, you will never create a framework the way I showed you. No, you will never do that. That is the most stupidest thing. Okay, we need to use, so you see this guy here, test runner, right? I replaced test runner with a test driver. This test runner is not something that same as what I just showed you. Test runner is basically a framework that is already available for you to use, but you cannot just use it out of the box. You have to customize it. So there's a framework called as TestNG. Okay, let me write in a different color. It's called TestNG. And you have another one called as Cucumber. Right? These are two different test runners which are available for you. Their job is to make your life easy in terms of how to run your test cases, ideally. How to organize your test cases, how to run your test cases. When I'm saying running test cases, guys, you have to understand something, that you will not be executing 3,000 test cases always. You will have a requirement. Yeah, Wispy, you're right. There's a type on that. So your requirement will be to execute test cases depending on what type of features you are deploying. You can deploy a small feature which will require you to run, say, 200 test cases. So out of 3,000, you have to get 200 test cases. Will you actually go to each and every class and then comment it out? No. There are processes around that. Those processes and those features are available with TestNG and Cucumber. You understand me? These guys will let you select, organize what kind of test case can be executed and what cannot be executed. That's number one. Number two is build management, build and dependency management. Think about it right now. Whenever I'm creating a new project, I'm adding those jar files, a WebDriver manager jar and a Selenium jar. We generally use almost 20 to 30 different jars for a decent level of project. Each and every library or jar file is bringing different facilities to us. Is it possible to add all those jar files every time to a new project? No. To maintain that, there is something called as Maven. Okay? Then when you are implementing your test cases, to make your test case go like for a long time and to have a maintainable structure, you will use something called as page objects. A page object is nothing but a design pattern, a coding design pattern, a Java design pattern called page objects. You will know that. Data repository. Okay, you will be required to extract data from multiple data sources and send that to the test case, right? From JSON file, from Excel file, from XML file, from database. So something you need there in order to push or extract those information from the data repository and send it to the test runner. You need something there. That is the next thing. Reporting, very important. If you're running thousands of test cases, you have to know what is the outcome of those test cases, right? So those reports are coming from the HTML report. Finally, GitHub. All this code that you're writing, you are not only one person who will be there in the team. You will have a multiple team member who will be writing the test cases. So those test cases needs to be under some kind of a version control system. That is GitHub. You have to know what is a GitHub lifecycle. And then you have to know how to create libraries that can be reusable. So you will create one method and that method can be used like 1,000 times. Okay? So you have to know how to create reusable libraries. You have to know what is a framework configuration means. So for example, you have to understand that your test cases, you're not going to only execute in one environment. You need to create your framework in such a way that your test case can be executed in dev environment or integration environment or pre-prod environment, right? So you have to make your framework in such a way that it can enable you to execute test cases in multiple different environments. Multiple different environment meaning multiple different environment URL and multiple different database, because each and every environment will have their own database. So which means the data extraction that is happening, it has to be different for different environment. Okay, you cannot use the production data for UAT or UAT data for integration. That will not work. So if you really want to come into the automation market, and if you really want to get into that domain, then this is the knowledge that you need. Just not writing driver.findElement and writing some basic test case. You have to get into the zone where you can actually implement automation frameworks. And that is where you will see the value. Okay, so we are finishing the training here today. Tomorrow we will come up and we will try to, I've created the framework here. Tomorrow we will try to come up and we'll try to implement a test case, and we'll try to create some locators for the test case, and then we'll try to build some kind of a scenario. Okay, and that is where we will be ending our training. I would like to let you know that, as I said earlier, 17th July or 10th of July, I'm starting the new batch. I'm going to drop a mail to every one of you who have attended the bootcamp, and let me know if you want to be a part of it. And if you want to be a part of it, please let me know so that I can arrange a call with you to discuss the next process with that. I'm going to just have one poll here today, just for the feedback to understand what you think about today's class. You should have it in your screen now. Okay, everybody answered, I suppose. All right. So it looks like there is one person here who is having problem to understand the concept that I really discussed. Is there, can you tell me who is that? Probably I can just speak to you after the class for a while and show you if that makes sense. Can you please tell me who is that person? Just raise your hand, please. It's okay, guys. You don't have to be shy if you feel that way. That's totally fine. If it's complex for you, it's complex for you. That's totally fine. Okay, Clara, no problem at all. I can sit with you after the class is over, and I can just talk to you about that for 10 minutes. I think, you know, if I show you one more time, it should be easier for you to understand. Is that okay, Clara? Just give me a like, or okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that's where I end my class today. And let's come back tomorrow and we can finish up the bootcamp, okay?
Thank you. Have a nice evening all.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, bye-bye.